Record now. Okay, we are recording. I'm going to screen share.
Thank you for your input.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I used a mouse. Okay. So, everybody sees the screen, right? Thumbs up? Yes? Awesome. Thank you. So, again, this is the electricity merit badge. And so, requirement number 1 in your handbook or workbook, it says we, know how to respond to electrical emergencies. So this stuff you're going to be doing on Saturday. You're going to show how to rescue a person that's been touching a live wire. You're going to show how to render first aid to a person who's unconscious from electrical shock. Show how to treat an electrical burn, what to do in an electrical storm, and what to do in an event of electrical fire. Some of this stuff will be in the PowerPoint, but a lot of this you're going to show Ed on Saturday. I do have some electrical shock. As you can see, obviously, I think all of us have probably been shocked at least once in our life. It's, electricity, it's going to travel, okay? It loves to travel. And the easiest path it has to travel, it's going to take it. So electricity, it takes shortcuts, wherever it can. So if it can go through you to get to the ground, it's going to do it. So electrical shock, water, obviously, we all know, you've always been told when you're taking a bath, don't have any electrical appliances next to you. Water is definitely an excellent conductor of electricity. It's going to become, you are going to be the path to the ground, like I said. And you touch that water and you touch something electric, it's going to go through you to get to the ground, okay? That's why it's really important, obviously, like I said, to keep all your, when you're inside a bath water or a pool, don't have anything plugged in around you. Bad electrical wire, you can get electrical shock by that. When your cords are frayed or, wires are showing, it's definitely a good idea to get rid of it or to replace it. If you have an electrician in the family or somebody that is, they can totally replace that cord for you. I know Randy Anthony does it all the time. Okay, power tools, all that stuff. The cords can be redone, okay? Electrical shock can cause muscle spasm, weakness, shallow breathing, your heart rate increases, you get a burn, it can kill you. In a shock incident, your body gets really hot. Okay, the current's gonna travel through and it's gonna burn wherever it went through and where it comes out. Okay, it not only does a giant power line can kill you, but little things can too. Even just a little shock from your appliance. So if someone in the house comes in contact with a live wire, you can, obviously you want to quickly shut off the power or to wherever room they're getting shocked. Go to this, and we'll talk about how to do that. Go turn the breaker and pull the main switch so the power is no longer electricity traveling through that plug. And it tells you here, it's if you don't know where the main switch is, obviously you can't pull the plug. So the third alternative is to remove the wire from the victim. So use a dry handkerchief, a towel, or a sheet, whatever, pillowcase, doesn't matter. And, wrap it around the wire and pull it away from the victim, okay? Don't touch the wire or the victim. A lot of people want to grab the person. Don't do that. It's going to go through them to you, and you're both going to be shocked, okay? And then again, if you can't wrap the wire, pull the clothes, to pull the victim, like use that same cloth, grab onto the person and pull them, but don't touch them without something in between you and them, okay? Electrical burns here, as you can see, they're caused by electricity touching you or passing through your body, okay? First degree burns, we all know that that's first aid, right? It burns the outer layer of your skin. It can get red. It might hurt when you touch it. It's like an abrasion almost. These are mild burns, and they usually go away in a few days. Now, it will hurt, but it'll go away. Second degree burns are deeper and more severe. Blisters may form with a second degree burn. on the burned area. And then the skin gets really tender when you touch it. And those take, up to 2 weeks to heal or longer. And again, 3rd-degree burns are the deepest and most dangerous, obviously. Your skin gets almost like it looks like leather. It's really tough. And it could look white, brown, red, black. Obviously, you're not going to feel anything for a while when the skin's touched because it's totally burned. Okay? So when you get an electrical burn, you want to call your doctor, let them know you got one. If it's small, they'll probably tell you to stay home, especially right now. You want to drink a lot of liquid, like water or fruit juice. You got to intake your water because that's what makes your skin heal itself. Okay? You can take Tylenol, ibuprofen, stuff like that to help with the pain. Okay? Obviously, if it's a larger burn, you could go into shock. You definitely want to go to the emergency room or call 911. Okay? To help someone that's been had an electrical shock and they had shock and they're not breathing, they're on the ground. Obviously, the most effective method is mouth to mouth. Obviously, right now with COVID situation and everything, you would want to have a face covering that you can find, CPR mask kind of thing. You put over the victim, you use them one time, and give them mouth to mouth. And then if you've taken the first aid merit badge, you know this stuff. But it's, if you don't know how to do CPR, chest compressions is what you do. You want to get the heart pumping. Okay, you don't have to give them breath as long as you're pumping the heart. Okay. All right, in the electrical storm now, if you look at page 61 in the pamphlet, it tells you exactly, the best thing to do if a storm's approaching is to seek shelter in a safe building or a vehicle. Obviously, a safe building is going to be one that actually is enclosed. We're not talking about a canopy or a shelter on legs kind of thing, like a awning. It needs to be something with a roof, with walls, and one that has plumbing or wiring. And it'll make more sense on why, because you want the electrical storm that's coming, you want it to travel through the pipes or the wires instead of traveling through the building to you. Safe vehicles, obviously one that's fully enclosed, no convertibles, obviously, and with a metal top, okay? No soft tops. I mean, it's better than nothing, but a safe one is gonna have a metal top so that the electricity gets right. Okay, electrical fire on page 60 in your pamphlet book. It tells you, obviously, how many of you have ever seen an electrical fire? Anyone? Okay, an electrical fire is different than a normal fire. Because the first thing most people want to do with a fire is get the hose, right? Never do that with an electrical fire. Ever. I've seen someone do it before, and oh my goodness, the worst thing you can do, because why? Water conducts electricity, right? You pour water on electrical fire and it's just creating a huge current, right? So never pour water on it. What you want, the first thing you should do is turn off the power to the house, okay? And again, if you don't know where the power's at or you're in someone else's house, just get out of the house. Okay, get everybody out of the house and get out, get away, go to the street, go to the neighbor's house, just get as far away from the fire as you can and call 911, okay? And of course, even if you do shut the power off and there's an electric fire, you still probably should call like the Southern California Edison here in California and let them know that there's been an electrical fire and they'll have someone come out, okay? Any questions so far? Everybody's good? Awesome. Okay, so requirement number 2, okay? This one, it says to complete an electrical safety inspection of your home. Okay, this one, obviously you're gonna do, and you're gonna bring it with you. In the back of the workbook, the last few pages, it has a really good step-by-step to go down through your house and check it, check your outlet, check all the cords, check the plugs, make sure they're not loose, check the circuit breaker. We'll show you, Ranger out there will talk about that. All the appliances, check your appliances. It's probably good to make sure they're energy efficient, in your pamphlet, starting on page 43, and the next few, all the green pages in here, these are all the electrical safety inspection sheets as well. Okay, it gives you step by step what you should be looking for. Okay, you should be doing that in at your home. So everybody's is going to be different. But do this at your house and bring it with you and talk about it with Ed on Saturday and let him know try to find something that, you think is probably not right. Maybe even take a picture of it, okay? And bring a picture, use your phone or something, take a picture and bring it to Saturday's class and show Ed, and he'll talk about it. That's the best way to learn. Okay, requirement number 3, it says to make a simple electromagnet and use it to show magnetic attraction and repulsion. This is going to be done in person at camp, obviously, because I can't make something for you right here. So that's the fun stuff where you actually get to make these things. So that will be done Saturday. Okay, requirement number 4 says to explain the difference between a direct current and alternating current. So DC direct current, right? We all know we have battery operated controllers. I know, my kids play PS4 and all that stuff. You have those controllers. Most of them are battery operated. Well, they used to be. Now they're rechargeable. But DC means direct current, okay? So a lot of radios, they used to have those alarm clocks and boom boxes and stuff where you hooked them to a cord to plug them into the wall. Well, those are DC. That's the little spot where the plug goes in on the radio or clock or whatever. It says DC. Okay, that means direct current. So that's showing you where the cord goes. Okay, to give the radio a direct current to the outlet. Okay, it doesn't change much, right? You can hook a battery to a meter, like it shows in the picture there, or a light bulb and turn it on. It won't change much, okay? Whereas an alternating current, the AC, that is what actually comes out of the wall, okay? So AC means alternating current. It's, if you, on that picture, I don't know if I can get it bigger. Oh, nope. I can't make it bigger for you, but if you look closely at the wave diagram at the top, the positive direction's on top, the negative direction's on the bottom, and then zeros in the middle. And over time, it goes up positive and it goes down through the negative, okay? So it alternates from high to low, all right? And on and on and on. And it goes really fast, okay? The circle current there, the one where it's just constantly going through itself, the positive and negative, it's just like constantly up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, okay? So that's the difference between direct current and alternating current. Awesome, okay. Requirement number 5, you're supposed to do a simple drawing to show how a battery and an electric bell work. These are 2 diagrams that I found. Anthony, would you like to explain these diagrams of how a battery and an electric bell work? How the current flows through?
All right, what we're looking at basically here is DC current. Okay, so when you have DC, you have electrons flowing in one specific or the same directions, okay? And it's a charge that is constantly circulating. So as you see in the battery, you have the plus, which would be the flow or the flow out to the light bulb and then pass through the light bulb. Now, when you're talking about DC, the light bulb has to be a DC type of light bulb. So again, you can't put your regular AC light bulbs on a DC circuit. That's i.e. your flashlights. Those are DC, or your charge flashlights. Those are direct current. So in other words, the flow basically is in line. Starts at one point, goes through the light bulb, goes back out, and then into the battery, back into the battery, okay? Whereas alternating current tends to alternate back and forth. It's more like a little burst, and you have a negative and a positive circuit that both come and join let's say your light bulb in your house. So as that power goes in to that light bulb, it flows through. It does flow out, but there's an alternating cycle in it. So it's a little more wattage when you're talking about it or when you're doing it. Now you can convert regular AC power to DC, but you have to have a converter for that. So again, as we're looking at the bell, which I can't see too well here on this. Oops, I changed the slide. That's why they don't let me touch anything. Okay. So basically the bell circuit, okay? You have your electromagnetic, which gets a pulse of electricity and it becomes a magnet, so to speak, okay? Then you have your contact screw and you have your battery, you have your switch, okay? Let's start at the battery. You have your power, it's DC on this diagram schematic. And then it goes to the switch, which the switch is basically an open and close, opening the door, closing the door. When you close the door, it completes the circuit. As the circuit goes through, it goes over to the electromagnet, which becomes charged, which causes creates a magnet. So that wire-wrapped piece of metal that we call the electromagnet does not have a charge until you add electricity to it. Once that's done, it becomes magnetized. This causes the bell to pull inward or the metal to be drawn to that, okay? So basically that's it.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Any questions about that? We're good. Remember, if you have any questions, please turn your microphone on and yell. Okay, because I'm screen sharing and I don't see you that well. All right. So that was number 5. Number 6. Number 6 is explain why a fuse blows or a circuit breaker trips, and then how to find it and reset it. So you see the picture on the left here. This is what a fuse looked like, you know. When we think of a fuse, we usually think of either that little thingamajig there or maybe a square one, like for the cars and stuff. But these fuses actually are housed in this little like container here. And then these are then put inside here, which is the circuit board, a circuit breaker box. The breaker box in your house. You should definitely know where your breaker box is in your home. As a scout, you should totally know that. Does anybody know where their breaker box is located in their home? Yeah? Yeah, awesome. Perfect, all right. So definitely wanna know where those are at in your home, because after taking the electricity merit badge, you should be able to find it and figure out how to reset it. Does anybody know how to reset a blown fuse in the circuit breaker box? If you do, turn the volume on and tell me. Anybody? You don't know how to find the blown fuse and reset it? Okay, well, how many of you have ever been?
Hang on.
Hey,
Hang on. He knows. Tell her.
You just replace the blown fuse with a new one.
Just replace a blown fuse with a new one.
Right, okay, but how do you know which one's blown? Go ahead.
It's broken. It makes a noise. I don't remember that one completely.
You can see charring or melting.
Go ahead, Sean.
You can see charring or melting on the fuse.
What?
That's what I've seen.
What?
Okay, if you look at this breaker box on the screen, if you look down, most of them are facing the same direction, right? But there's a couple that are in the opposite direction, like the pool pump and spare, it's got a spare. So the pool pump is in the opposite direction of all the other ones. So, because I can't see, this is on, obviously on, you turn them to the right, okay? Well, to the middle. Huh? Yes, please. Anthony's gonna talk about it.
All right, gentlemen, sorry about that. First of all, in order to understand what's going on here, you need to understand what is electricity, right? Where does it come from? What does it do, okay? Can you go to the store and buy electricity? No, you can't, huh? Okay, you can buy a generator that would create electricity. Basically, electricity is in the air, okay? It's atoms, charged atmosphere, okay? That's how you get lightning storms and whatnot. When those atoms or molecules start mixing around and moving real fast, the electrons become energized. The more they become energized, the stronger the force is. So when that happens, okay, you get things like lightning. And Miss Andrea spoke earlier about being grounded for safety reasons. Electricity is finding a pathway or looking for a pathway. So in the air, when these electrons get all excited and it creates a bolt of lightning, that electricity is looking for a path, okay? That's why you don't want to become that pathway, okay? And you've seen probably on YouTube, trees get hit by lightning because they're so tall. That pathway is looking for a ground, or it's looking to connect with the ground. It has to connect with something. So from the air, it'll come down, hit a tree, it'll hit a lake, it'll hit a power pole, it'll hit a metal pole, so it can find that pathway to the ground, okay? If you're standing in the middle of the field, you would become that pathway, all right? So let's take it now to the idea of electricity in your home, okay? Everybody knows how electricity gets there, right? Anybody know? How does electricity get to your home? Anybody want to answer that? Okay, I'll answer it for you. Electricity, go ahead. Rashawn, go ahead. You were going to say something?
Each area has usually some area that provides electricity for you, like a power plant maybe.
Okay.
And there's ground cables that lead to homes.
Okay, great. And these are called, and that's correct, these are called transmission lines. So what's happening somewhere far away from here is a turbine, or like I said going to Home Depot and buying a generator. You saw how we saw the battery, the electromagnet on the battery was the same kind of concept in a generator or somewhere where they're generating electricity. These turbines start to turn and get all these electrons excited, okay? All these electrons are starting to need a place to go. So what they do is it generates through these transmission lines. Now we're talking, thousands and thousands of volts coming through this transmission line, okay? As it comes through these transmission lines, and I think Miss Andrea said, if you ever come across a down power line, never approach it. Even in an emergency, always assess the situation first. There was a situation that happened a few years back where a car hit a pole, the power lines, and it hit a fire hydrant. Well, the fire hydrant broke and there was water, and the transmission line came down into the water. Well, some lady in her house saw the need to respond to the needs of the people in the car. Okay, when she went out to respond to that and stepped in the water, she became part of the circuit and she instantly died. She just, arms went straight out and it's looking for a pathway and it killed her immediately. So when you're looking at power and electricity and you see a transmission line, always as a scout, assess the situation first before you approach it. Anytime you see water and electricity, they do not mix. Those excited electrons are looking for a pathway and you can become that circuit and you don't want to be. So again, as it gets closer to your house, it goes through what is called a transformation stage, okay? On the pole, on the power pole in your neighborhood, I don't know if you have underground or overhead power lines, but there's what are called transformers. So, and there are these big silver boxes, cylinders on the telephone poles. Has anybody ever saw those before? Okay, if you have, look up on the poles, and they're power poles. I'm sorry, they're not telephone poles. But what those do is they take all those excitable electrons and they stop them. They put pressure on them. So there's a backup. Picture a freeway during rush hour. All these electrons are backed up because of what they call a bottleneck. You had 6 lanes of freeway go down to like 2 lanes, okay? So at this transformer, what it's doing is it's taking all this massive amount of power, which could be anywhere from 600 to 1,000 volts, let's say, and it's reducing it, okay? As it reduces it, it goes down to your house. And usually it enters your house at about 120 volts, all right? There's 2 lines that enter your house. Normally, they're both 120, 120, or 140, 140, depending on your house. And those 2 carry electricity into your house. But there's also a ground wire or a ground line that will enter your house. So sometimes you'll see 3 lines going into your house. Older houses may only have 2. Now, as it enters the circuit box or the breaker box, it's called a panel, okay? And as that electricity goes into the panel, now mind you, we cut it down to 120 volts from the transformer. It's coming into your house. There's 2 legs, so that's what? 240, right? Okay, so you have 240 volts potential, okay, because you have 120 and 120 or 110 and 110 coming into your house, into that box, that circuit box. Now what happens is it's going to enter your house through that circuit panel, and what that circuit panel is going to do is it's going to have a breaker that 120 volts will have to go through or feed through, okay? And what's going to happen is the amps, each breaker is rated at amps. So you have 20 amps, 30 amps, 40 amps, okay? So here you got a stopping point of electricity again. It's only going to allow, even though it's 110, the amount of amps drawn into your system will determine on what you're going to plug in at the other end. Your light bulb, your blow dryer. If it's 100, if it draws, and look at a blow dryer, look at even your computer. It even has a, well, that might be different, but it has amps on there. That's the draw, the pull that specific appliance will need. So anytime that you, I'm sorry, I got off track. Okay, so you have your breaker. All those breakers feed different things in your house. They're called circuits. So you may have all your wall circuits in your kitchen connected to one breaker, okay? You may have all your light bulbs in your downstairs, if you have a downstairs, or maybe you have a downstairs, upstairs, or whatever, may be connected to one circuit. And you'll see that in your diagram. So each of those breakers are specific for a certain line or circuit in your house. All right, anytime that you pull more amps from that circuit that can be pulled, that breaker's job at 15 amps is only to let you draw 15 amps. So if you plug in 2 wall heaters, a blow dryer, and your electric train set, and it doesn't equal out, and you'll see on everything it says amps, if it doesn't equal out to those amps, that breaker is going to start to pull, and it's going to say, oh, I'm pulling way too much power, hold on, whoa, I can't feed anymore, and it's going to pop. Okay, and it'll shut the power off on that line. What that does is it protects your wires, because wires are rated at different thicknesses. Okay, it goes from 16 to 14 to 12 to 10 to 6. 16 seems like it would be the highest, but it's not. It's thinner. As you go down, all the way down to 0, which is aught, the wire gets pretty thick. That's the amount, back to the freeway analogy, okay? Your wire's only gonna make room for enough of those electrons to flow through. So that breaker's job is to pop when you're pulling way too much from that, okay? Now, remember I mentioned how much is coming through? 110 and what? 110, right? That's 220. How many of you have electric dryer in your house that dries your clothes maybe? Okay, most electric dryers are 220. So what happens is it needs 2 breakers or 1 breaker that is rated for that amount of amps. Mr. Ed will talk to you about that stuff, but again, what happens is you can only draw so much power in your house. When that breaker pops, first of all, if you see in the picture, all those breakers are labeled. So you can go to that one and see that the breaker is over. Some of them, like you see a square D there, when they pop, they turn orange, and then you trip it back. But you have to make sure the power source that caused the breaker to break or to trip is off or out or not there. You unplugged it, okay? A lot of houses may have old wiring and they're not as good as it used to be, so they're not taking a lot of those, the flow of electricity through them, so they'll pop easily. Then there's the old glass breakers. If you had those, seen those before, this is a fuse here, but in old houses, they had these screw in like the end of a light bulb, and they had a glass on it, and you could actually see like this fuse here, that little metal thing there. Those are rated for so many amperes, okay? So some might be thick, some might be thin, but whenever there's too much draw, that little piece of wire melts and that stops and breaks the circuit, and then you have to replace actually that whole little thing, whereas the circuit breakers, you just pop them back over. But again, if you ever smell anything funny, you really shouldn't be approaching this without an adult supervision. But if you feel like, you know, you need to investigate for your parents or something like that, now you know where to find it. They're usually located outside under a panel with the meter above it, but there are what are called sub-panels. Sometimes they're in the house also. And washer and dryer rooms may have their own circuit. So, okay, done.
All right, so we got a lot of information there. Again, you'll see this in action, if you will, on Saturday. And you'll be looking at a circuit breaker board panel like this. You're gonna look at one of those at the camp, and we'll trip one, and you can see what happens. So no worries on that one. Number 7 was explain why it blows and a circuit breaker trips and how to keep your home circuits from overloading. When Anthony just did a whole talk on that. He gave you all the information for that. You know why it trips. It pulled too much more. It pulled more than it was made for. And how do you keep it from overloading? Like you said, make sure you don't have too many things on one line. I know at my house, when my kids turn the microwave on and bake something, if I'm baking something in the oven and my daughter goes and turns the blow dryer on, it automatically pops the breaker. Okay, so the dryer, the hair dryers are a lot of amps, and your oven and your microwave. Those three things all at once totally blow my breaker all the time. So it's good to know, like you said, check all your appliances and see how many amps they are and see what you're pulling at once. Requirement number 8, it says to make a floor plan diagram, a wiring diagram of the light, the switches and all that in your room, in a room. It doesn't have to be your room, but a room, and to show where the switches are, where the lights are, where the outlets are, and all that stuff. This, I pulled the sample right here from the workbook, or the packet. So on your packet, there's a grid there for you to do this. So make sure you have one of those. Just the simplest thing to do is use your bedroom, you know, the room you're in right now, and just draw like it shows on there, your door, your windows, all that stuff. Okay, so bring that with you. Requirement number 9, like Anthony said, he was saying how the panel's usually above this meter, the electric meter here. Every house has one of those, even if you live in an apartment. You're gonna have one of these somewhere outside, okay? My breaker is inside my house in the hallway, but my electric meter is outside, obviously. And the reason they're outside is because Edison has to come and read them so they can bill you for them. And that's what, like, there's an example here of an electric bill. It's a good idea to ask your parent to show you their electric bill, and based off the meter and your electric bill, try to determine what your energy cost is from the meter readings, okay? If you go on Google, Southern California Edison has a lot of information about how to estimate your electric cost, but the website does too. So if you go on Southern California Edison's website, which is sce.com, they have a lot of information on there about this. So just kind of look it over, brief through it before Saturday, and Ed will go some more information for that. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Flash.
Electricity is measured in kilowatt hours. Okay, so all the little dials on there, they move opposite. One moves one way and one moves the other way, and it keeps track of your hours. Okay, a lot of homes and a lot of businesses are on electronic, and it's digital. You can actually go and read the kilowatt hours. Okay, and what that does, so Southern California doesn't have to go out and have a meter reader anymore. It sends a signal just like everything else electronically. Thank you.
Well, that's interesting. So because they're digital, I mean, like I've had my power turned off. Some of you might have had your power turned off for like rolling blackouts or something, and they're trying to conserve the energy. And because too many people, like obviously everybody's at home right now. Everybody's using computers to go to school and all that stuff and work. So there's a lot of electricity draw in the homes, but then you think about it too, and nobody's at the school, nobody's at the, well, nobody was at the mall. So, they were saving electricity there, right? So it kind of like you balance out some, but yeah, it's really good to know. So the next one for that question, you're supposed to tell 5 ways to conserve energy. I got these 5 out of the pamphlet, so you should be able to find these easily. Obviously, you want to know your rates, what you get billed, how much you get billed for each kilowatt. Okay, so know your rates, know how much energy you're using. Like I said, check all your appliances, make sure they're energy efficient. If you have a refrigerator that's from 20 years ago, it's not very efficient, okay? So most of you by now, I'm sure, have newer appliances, but know how much energy you're using in each one, okay? Know where you're using it. So like Ranger Anthony was saying, know which rooms have the most energy, okay? Which appliances are drawing the most. and know when you're using them. So like right now you're using electricity on the computer. Most of you have a light on, you know, so you've got a lot of electricity going on right now during this hours. So know when, know where, know how much it costs, and then implement simple energy efficient techniques. Obviously, turn the lights off when you leave the room, right? We know that. We know it's like, you know, turn the water off when you're not brushing, when you're brushing your teeth, turn the water off, you know, it's the same thing with electricity. You walk out of the room, hit the switch. You're done watching TV, turn it off. My worst thing is I walk in the room and I see my TV on and a PS4 going, and I go turn it off. My kids are like, no, I'm downloading something. I'm just like, really? So I understand that there's some things have to go, but if you're not using it, turn it off, okay? The same thing with the chargers, you know, your phone chargers, your computer chargers and all that stuff. If you're done charging your phone, it's best to go around and unplug them. I know that, like, we talk about the alternating current and the direct current, right? Like this charger, I just unplugged the computer. I have my charger here, but it's still connected to the wall. Now, obviously, I need something connected to this end for the current to actually pass through, but there's still power in my cord, okay? Even though my cord is not plugged into my computer, it's still plugged into the wall. So it's still pulling the electricity from the wall into my cord, okay? A lot of people don't realize that. So if I'm not charging my computer, I should unplug my charger from the wall, okay? A lot of times, like when I'm at camp right now, but when I'm at home, I have my computer and a lot of my other things plugged into a power strip, you know, where you have a whole bunch of like plugs. And then when you're not using those appliances, you could just go click and turn that whole thing off at the same time, okay? Then you're not pulling any electricity into those individual plugs, okay? So we all know ways to conserve energy. Just write down 5 of them. Okay, number 10, you're supposed to explain all these electrical terms. Most of them, well, all of them were found in the book, but I briefly put them on there of the definitions from the book. So again, if you don't have the book, Google has the definition too. So a volt, it's a unit of measurement, right, of the electrical pressure or the force, how many volts, like a battery, right, a 9-volt battery, right? So it's how much electrical pressure is gonna go through there. The amps, like when Anthony was telling you, they measure the strength of the electrical current. A watt, it measures the electrical power at the point of use, okay? Ohm, it's a unit of measuring the electrical resistance to a current. Again, these are found in the book. Just jot down the definition, and Ed will go over them all, okay? Another one is resistance. So obviously resistance, when there's a resistance, there's an opposition. So resistance in electricity is opposition against the free transfer of electrons in a conductor. So something is broken it, okay? So there's opposition. The potential difference is the amount of difference provided by the current, okay? A rectifier, that is a device that alternates the current, so it's a rectifier. It can reverse it, okay? Is that a rheostat? That's the number 8 there is a resistor built so that the current can be adjusted at will. So like an on and off switch, okay? Conductor, obviously a conductor is what the electricity passes through. You can be a conductor, okay? Water is a really good conductor of electricity, okay? Ground, when we say ground, what is the ground wire? What have you grounded it? It means it's to connect a wiring system to the ground, okay? That's what ground means. You actually connect it to the ground or another conductor. A circuit is the loop-shaped path of how the electricity travels, the current. And a short circuit, it's when you have a completed circuit, but it's a shorter unintended path. Okay, so it leaves the source, and there's a shorter path where it ends up going back to the source. Okay, rather than going through to the load. Okay, so if something is short circuited, that means there's something keeping it from flowing through. Okay. Requirement number 11 is the last one. It says that's what you're going to be doing at camp. Or you're going to be doing projects and building things. Okay. Definitely, you want to be ready to have some fun when you show up on Saturday. Class B uniforms or activity shirts can be worn since you'll be working, with projects and stuff. You don't have to wear your Class A, but Class B shirt would be appreciated. You definitely want to have a face mask. You want to arrive at least 15 minutes early. I sent an email to your parents explaining how to get there. Bring some water. You will have a light lunch when you leave. And your class is at 9 a.m., I believe. And a couple hours is all it really takes. You're going to do some hands-on stuff and build some projects, play with some electricity stuff, hopefully not get shocked, and just have some fun. Does anyone have any questions at all about this or about Saturday? Anybody? We're all good? Awesome. All right. So again, it was recorded, and I'm going to stop.